As I'm having all of these like challenges in my relationship with my body, and like realizing that my body is so much more than what is like presented on the outside. It is this vessel that carries so much of all of my experiences.
Yeah. It's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like sometimes I feel like we think that we're in our heads.
That we live in our heads.
Yeah.
This
like
is the machine. This is our us.
Yeah.
But actually like our whole spirit is alive throughout our body.
Hello and welcome to Fuck Yeah, the podcast where we say fuck yeah to empowered choice. I'm one of your hosts, Robin, and I'm here with Sarah. How are you today, Sarah?
I'm good. I'm excited to pick back up on our conversation from last week.
Yeah, it's so nice to get back into it with you.
It is Leo season. We are back. And we are following up last week's episode. We ended on a very political note, and this episode is diving a bit more into our hot mom summers.
Yeah.
Are there any things that you wanted to chat about in this inaugural episode of season 4?
I have like at least 3 hours more of chat content. So I'm going to select something. I do want to talk a little bit about my Hot Mom Summer 2.0.
Yes.
This is not a term that I coined, by the way. A friend of ours coined it for me last summer and then revived it this summer, and I appreciate
And
that.
It's Hot Mom Summer because your children go to France with your co-parent, with your fiancé.
With my fiancé.
Whose family is from abroad. So like this is why this happens. So you get a little bit of time to yourself in the summertime.
Yeah. So I used to go with precious. Them, which made, I have like a deep, like, not hatred, but dislike for France now, having gone so many times. But it's also the context under which I've gone has been like so brutal with like little kids on those long plane rides and then being with your in-laws for many weeks, who
are very attached to the cultural norms.
Yes, they have. Yes. It is like this way or no way. I mean, the last time I was
allergic
there, last time I was there, I was just like sitting there going like, oh, right. This is where white supremacy comes from. It's like, of course, you can't. Anyway, I will not get into that part. But now they go and I stay. And with all of my emotional healing I've been doing and everything that really started around the same time that we started this podcast. So y'all have been in it with me. I am in a really interesting place. So last Hot Mom Summer, it was 5 weeks long, and I moved from the front house into the back house and decorated the space and was just trying to feel into like, who am I? Because I had lost all of this identity through basically being at service of my family. And so trying to break those and trying to set the boundaries and, just even like decorating the whole place and everything. It's like...
Because it was your mom's house.
It was my mom's house,
yeah.
And I think that's a big part of like why I have this space is I do consider it like a gift from my mom. Like we bought the property together in order she wanted to help with the kids that we were planning on having, and her health was not good. And so we wanted to help with that. So, and also the trajectory of that bedroom, like I literally saw my mother die on that bed, not the same mattress, but the same bed in the same spot. And now I like fucking masturbate in that bed, and I feel like that's healing. That's like healing when you don't think that your mom died there anymore. I had trouble going into that house like for about a year and a half, 2 years after she died. Even like just going into certain places where like traumatic things have happened, where it's like when you're caring for someone, in that capacity, it's like you're wiping up shit, you know, you're washing them off. You're like watching them vomit. It's like, it's really like hardcore. Yeah. And they're huge, you know? It's like doing that for a baby is one thing.
Yes.
Doing that for someone who is taller and weighs more than you is a whole other thing. Like it's like there, like one time she was like falling, I couldn't stop her from falling. You know, it's like at the same time that you have to do this very difficult, demanding thing, you also have way less control than like with kids and stuff. But I was also doing diapers at the same time. Like that shit was fucking crazy. And I actually realized recently I have a lot of like somatic healing to do around that, because I mean, I can talk about it now without crying, but it depends, you know? So anyway, I I painted that room like this deep, dark teal, you know, and everybody's like, the resale value. And I'm like, I don't care. This is my house. And I've never regretted it. Like, it is just this soothing thing. And anyway, all of that stuff this time around.
It's the Robin layer.
It is my space.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not Facebook, it's MySpace. And so this time was more about reconnecting with my sexuality a bit, reconnecting with my like kind of vibrance in a different way, and my ability to, I don't know, like I got super social. I threw a play party that was the best party I've ever been to. And I don't think I've talked to you about this yet. Have I? Did I bring this up to you? Only a little bit. I was probably like, I gotta save it for the podcast. But because it's like I used to play all the time. I have like the muscle memory for it, but I have not played in a really long time. And when I have, like, when I've gone to play parties, I've felt really awkward and like I'm being seen and am I doing it right and all this stuff. And so I have this amazing space with the pool and the inflatable hot tub and the gazebo and all this stuff. And I was like, I am going to do a sapphic nighttime party where it is like nude play spaces, incredible lighting. I mean, I waited until dark many days beforehand and set up all the lighting just right. And it was, but I planned it like it was a really short plan, and just because of the way the dates worked out. And when it happened, I was like, all right, if only 5 people show up, that's fine. I think like 30 or 40 people showed up, and this party had legs. Like it went on from about 9 p.m. Like I think I got to bed around 3 a.m. And I, of course, was like, oh, what am I going to wear? And and I have this thing that my fiance actually got me. It's the best gift he ever got me. It's this sheer neon orange full-length robe that has neon pink trim around it. It's like obnoxious and awesome. And then I had these kind of like coral tights. I got 2 pairs of them, cut one pair into shorts, like booty shorts, but really high-waisted. And then the other pair, I cut the crotch out and stuck it over my head and put my arms through the legs and had like this like bodysuit, like crop top. Anyway, pro tip, I had like a horse and a cross and the makeout trailer, and we had a massage table in the grass, and then I put down like pads and a really big black Liberator blanket down next to the pool, and people were using just everything. So Tina got me on the horse, worked me over physically very nicely, and I got super embodied, and then just started playing and playing and playing and playing. Top, 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 top. I was not in a like domineering mood. I was like body working, you know, I was like working people over, and there was literally a line of people waiting, and I had to just stop at a certain point. I think it was like around like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I was like, I can't anymore, guys. Like I was hungover the next day and I barely drank, you know, but I was like a wreck the next day.
You had energy hangover.
I got into a top space that I've literally never been to, where I was just like doing. I was just being and happening, and everything was landing. Everything I did, like pop. Pop,
you were in the
pop,
zone.
Pop. I could just like bring a hand back and not even think about and just land a perfect spank. And then I was like using all my equipment, bam, 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 bam. The first time I was topping with the first person, and I'm sorry, the end was actually like when I got really on point, you know, and it's like it was just amazing. It was amazing. And I'm still in a point where I do not want to be sexual. I do not want to have sex with anybody right now. And I don't want to be like that intimate and close with somebody. But I was able, this thing that I love about kink is that you can be sexual. And I was physically aroused, but no intention of going any further than this kind of body work space. And it's just so nice. It's what I love about kink is that it takes out of like this whole system of like, and then we have foreplay and we make out and we do this and we start touching genitals and then it goes into this and then we orgasm and then we bask in that. And like this like formula can really get broken in such a nice way to be just exactly what you want it to be with kinky stuff.
Yeah, I was in we've talked about this, but such a similar space when I was separating from my marriage and just not open at all to intimacy. There just was too much in my life that I was navigating, and I had a very small child at the time. Yeah. And life was logistically very challenging. So like I needed something aside from exercise was my savior during that time to kind of keep endorphins going, feeling a connection to my body and not just being kind of consumed by the challenge of separating a family. But I think it was probably like 9 or 10 months after my separation that I was like, okay, I need something. And kink was the thing that was there for me. It allowed me to be social. Yeah. It allowed me to be embodied and connecting with people, but not trying to form a relationship. I mean, also like, I don't know if this is your experience as well up until your long-term relationship, but a lot of my interactions with people had been oriented around relationship forming. Yeah. And then like to kind of be allergic to that and not want that at all. It was like kink was such a beautiful way to be in connection and in relationship to people, but not seeking intimate relationships in the traditional sense.
It's very, like you've talked
it's
about
like
before.
Moments of intimacy.
It's the container.
Yeah.
Your interaction is contained in that space, and then you go about your fucking life, you know? And so, and also like I, for example, played with our mutual friend, and it was such a nice thing to like play in this very body-oriented thing. I mean, there is nudity involved all around. Yeah. But we're like, I don't know. It's like I feel closer with her now, but also it's not like we crossed any boundaries in this certain way. I mean, you can only do this with people that are able to kinkily mind in that way. Yes. And she's definitely able to do that. But it's just like, it's interesting. It's really nice. I loved it. And it's really inspiring in that. And also to know that like deep down, all my other kink stuff, I think it's like me motivated, obviously. Why would I do it for so long? But it's a lot of it was very performative and very like, and what do you want? You know, and I'm servicing. I was a very servicey top in that way of just like, I want to give you the experience that you're looking for. And I don't know if it's like the job. You also got your
training in a dungeon. Yeah. That was your job.
It was my job. Yeah. I was getting paid for it and stuff. And so it kind of bled over into the way that I would like play with other people. And this was a lot of like, what do I feel like doing within their limits? Yes. You know? Yeah. Yeah. And I think that I can definitely get into the space where I'm like, you know, I'm pretty good at humiliation and, you know, being a stone cold bitch and like all this stuff. But it just wasn't my vibe that night. And I was just too lost in the physicality of everything to even do that. Because I think my deep down nature is one of like just really, truly mutual equality and respect and love and stuff. And I think it came across in like this, I'm going to body work you with this flogger.
Yeah.
You know?
Intuitive tapping.
Yeah.
Is kind of what it sounds like. Like, I feel like that's kind of my favorite way to play.
Yeah.
Too.
And also outside play party.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it will not be the last.
Yes.
I don't know how I'm going to do it now that Hot Mom Summer is over and all the boys are back. But
it'll just have to be a coveted annual experience.
Yeah. I mean, get your tickets. Yeah. Because it was dope. And that also leads into one last thing that I want to talk about, which is about a year and a half ago, I was able to stop my daily weed habit for about 3 months. I did AA. It was very difficult for me. There was a lot of benefits from it, but it was a harsh pill to swallow. And I was only able to do it for 3 months. And I felt really bad, you know, when I relapsed and all that stuff. But part of what I've been doing in therapy is like trying to get down to the root cause of it rather than trying to shame or just stop the habit that I don't want. And I've been working with my therapist a lot, and I've been really just being like, all right, just trust that when you're ready, you'll be able to stop. I'm going to like cry. And, but I was nervous, like, am I ever going to get to that point? And during this Hot Mom Summer, I was able to, there was a point where I was just smoking, you know, morning to evening, and I was trying to rearrange my work area. And I noticed myself sitting, smoking, not doing the thing. And now that I know so much about my own dissociation and my own, like my therapist calls it the low zone. She'll be like, it sounds like you're in the low zone where you're just operating at this very low like space. And it's like been very helpful to me of like recognizing it and being able to know when I'm there. And so there is this moment where I was just like, oh, you have nothing stopping you right now other than your dissociation and your habits. And I was just able to see it really, really clearly. And I think it was like the next day I ran out of weed and I was like gonna go buy some before I went to cruise and all this stuff. And it was like, I didn't do it. And I was like, I'm just not going to buy any today. And then I didn't buy any the next day. And I didn't buy any the next day. And it's been like 2 or 3 weeks now. And it has been so easy. And I have not completely quit. I'm not completely sober. I just will not buy it anymore. And so like I went to a party at a friend's house and I smoked a little bit while I was there because they had some. Easy peasy. I didn't think about it when I got home and all this stuff. And then my therapist, there's about once a day where I'll be like, oh, I wish I could smoke right now. And I told that to my therapist and she was like, so what I want you to do is recognize what emotion it is that you're trying to numb. And I was like, okay. And so I've been doing that. And I'm like, oh, it's because I'm annoyed with my fiance. Or, oh, it's because I'm getting overwhelmed by the kids. And so now I'm doing other things, you know, and it really, the craving goes away almost instantly, especially when I notice like, oh, you're trying not to feel again. And the other thing, you know, I have all these fucking food problems where I get like food repulsions and all of this stuff. And it's so counterintuitive because people are like, oh, don't you get the munchies when you smoke? I realized I can feel it and see it now that I was numbing my body. And so I wasn't aware when I was hungry. And then I think I was not tasting things fully. And so it would just be in my mouth and I'd be like, oh, it's like chewing on chalk or like Play-Doh or something is like, and sometimes I would spit stuff out because I'm like, I would like to eat, but this is fucking gross, you know? And so it's not, I'm still working on my eating habits and everything, but it's like, I feel hunger now. It makes it a lot easier to eat. And I'm not getting repulsed by food when I do eat. So those two things are fucking game changers.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
So I don't know. I'm just feeling, and then on Tuesday, because I did have some withdrawals where I've been having a hard time sleeping and I was like kind of moody and low for about the first week. But then on this last Tuesday, I just had the energy and the inspiration to like really start working on my shit. And I like got my domain name, got my new Etsy store set up, like finished like one of many of the things that I'm going to make, and I'm just excited to be able to do things and not just like check out anymore. And I understand why I checked out, and I have compassion for it. And thank you, weed, for helping me get through like some of the hardest times. But I'm so happy to have it back into this friendship rather than this like obsessive compulsive. Like Tina Horn said to me once, like, I love weed as a friend. They're like a great friend to go out with, and they're a great friend to invite over once in a while, but I don't live with this friend. I don't like, spend all of my time with this person.
Yeah.
They're not my end all be all. And that's like, I'm glad to put weed back in this friendly space of, I don't know. And it's easy this time because I am ready.
It sounds like, also like a lot of what harm reduction models are based on, of like this idea. And I do think it works for some, like sobriety really works for some people, but also like all of our brains are so different. So like, for some of us, we have to find ways to be able to be in a measured, harmonious relationship with substances. To be able to like experience the openness, the expansiveness, the like softening that can happen, without saying like, oh, I'm going to live entirely without that. Right. And it's like, it's hard when you're pretty high functioning with a substance to be able to like temper it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, well, what's the harm, right? But I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel really good about it.
There's something that you were saying that made me think of, I'm in another certification program
You
right
just
now.
getting certified left and right.
I know. I think I'm in a place where I'm really keen. I'm finally very clear on how I want to shift my business and my career. And not that I don't want to continue to have marketing clients. Like I have amazing clients.
Yeah.
I think that I have moved a little too far away from actual one-on-one work with people, which is what drew me to all of this in the first place. Like the fact that I ended up running a big business was kind of a detour on my, I think, calling and my true path, which is to really help individuals expand their permission around their sexuality, their bodies, etc. So I am in an embodied intimacy coaching program right now. And it's like, it's such a coalescing of a lot of the work that I've done over the last like almost 20 years where I'm just like, oh my God, why? I have so many voices in my head who early on were like, why don't you do coaching? Because it's like, I think it really is, what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
And I always had excuses, right? This is my hot mom summer, I guess. Like this program has been such a good fit for me. It was kind of something I spontaneously signed up for. I wasn't necessarily expecting to do it. And I'm like, all right, well, I just got to figure out how to do it. Right. And a lot of the program is around doing the work yourself. And I do think that like I have a pretty good relationship with somatics in terms of, oh, I notice that this thing is living in my body. I can feel it, and now I can intellectualize it. But the actual like being embodied is another layer to the work that is interesting as I'm having all of these like challenges in my relationship with my body, you know, and like realizing that my body is so much more than what is like presented on the outside.
Yeah.
You know, it is this vessel that carries so much of all of my experiences.
Yeah. It's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like sometimes I feel like we think that we're in
that
our
we
heads.
live in our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
like
is the
this
machine.
is our us.
Yeah.
But actually like our whole spirit is through like alive throughout our body. So as you were talking, it made me think of this concept that I have been learning about or expanding my understanding of, which is empowered choice. Rather than consent.
Ooh.
Which is sort of inherently built around this idea that you are agreeing to something.
Right.
And empowered choice is a choosing.
Yeah.
Like you're choosing the thing.
Because consent almost implies a bit of like a submissive nature. Like
Yes.
I'm agreeing to do what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas, what was the term you used?
Empowered choice.
Empowered choice. Like I'm choosing what to do.
Yeah, this is coming from within me.
Yeah.
My will, my agency is baked into it.
I like this. This is another step further from what you've been saying for a long time of like enthusiastic consent is not quite the right term.
Yes.
You could be enthusiastic about it, but sometimes you do want to do things that might be more challenging or whatever that is not necessarily like you want to do it, but it's not going to be like a cakewalk.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like what I'm hearing from you is you're making empowered choice around your relationship with cannabis.
Yes. I like because even that feels empowering. Mm-hmm. It feels much more than like, abstaining.
Yes.
Because it's really, I'm getting so much from just choosing when I do it.
Well, and you're being discerning about it. I don't remember like when last season we were talking about the concept of discernment. Maybe it was our astrology
issue with me. Yeah,
right.
It was the astrology.
Yeah. But there is a empowered choice has a quality of discernment to it, which is very, powerful.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do you have any like things that you've learned so far that might be like a helpful exercise for me or listeners?
I mean, I think one thing I've been doing some meditation in general, but one thing that I think can be really helpful, like particularly with dealing with hard feelings, is getting grounded really in like whatever way you like to do that. The thing I always do is I close my eyes and I imagine like putting a root down from my spine or trying to balance, like put a little ball bearing in the center of my head and get it to get still. Like I visualize having a ball bearing there and getting it to where it's just floating. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm present. Whatever way you use to get present, noticing what information your body is giving you. So any points of discomfort, for instance, like getting in relationship with empowered choice, like knowing like, oh, my back hurts. That actually means I could move and get up if this is uncomfortable. Like I think a lot of meditation practices are telling you that there is value in sitting in the painful feelings.
That's never felt right to me. I'm like, but my back.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like just start flowing in your body in whatever way feels good And then notice, like really allow all of your physical sensations in your body to send you messages. And if you're having a hard feeling, so you're having anxiety around the election or you're experiencing grief or whatever, try to find where you feel that sensations in your body. Is it in your legs? Is it in the pit of your stomach? Is it in your heart center? What is the weight of it? What's the temperature of it? Could you give it a quality?
Yeah.
Like, could you name it? And if you're someone who has a really hard time, this was actually a really helpful redirect from one of the teachers in the program, like for folks who don't feel things in their body. Okay, don't like try to locate things in your body if you can't find them. Look around your space and see if you can identify something. Like for whatever reason, grief is the thing that came up to me, and I'm looking around the space right now and I'm seeing my weights, my 12-pound weights over there. And I'm like, that's kind of a thing that has the quality of grief, where it's heavy. It takes a lot of effort to pick it up as you're carrying it around. Kind of everything you're trying to do is a little bit harder as you're like carrying these weights around. So like, even if you can't like find, say, the dark, heavy storm cloud that like lives in your chest, maybe it's something that you can actually see in your physical space. And then consider being in a conversation with this thing that's in your body.
Yeah. Curiosity.
Like, what
non-judgment.
What is there another time that I've felt this thing? What does this bring up for me? What would I want to say to this thing to let it know that it's welcome here? And then just start noticing like how your body wants to move as you are in conversation with this feeling that is in your body. Like perhaps you want to like get up. Perhaps you want to curl up in a ball. Perhaps you want to put your hands on your chest. Like just flow with whatever information this sensation or this feeling is giving you, and spend as much time there as you want. And if you're not like in dialogue with somebody around this, because this would be a thing that like we would do in a session, and then I would be mirroring back to you like what I'm noticing. I would be asking you questions, but you could, if you're doing this on your own, you could just be journaling about like what information is coming up as you are developing some kind of relationship dialogue with this sensation in your body.
That's so great.
But I think giving it form is a way that like really works for our brains.
Yeah, I love that. I actually, I think my therapist has been doing very similar things with me, and it's been game changing for me because I have been and can talk about all of this stuff forever, and it's that intellectualizing. You can say like, oh yeah, I know I shouldn't be smoking weed all the time, but it's like you do have these physical sensations in your body that draw you towards doing certain things compulsively at times or for whatever reason. But like I was able to clear my throat tension, which I've had my whole life. And part of what she would do is be like, I'd be talking about something, I'd start getting upset, and she would be like, all right, let's pause. She would do grounding. A lot of what she has me do is like touching things. So she's like, find something soft and fuzzy. And that works really well for me, especially I think as somebody who dissociates a lot, to have something else that you can kind of feel. Yeah. And then it helps you feel more. But she'd be like, what does it feel like in your throat? And I was like, it feels like I have like a walnut in my throat. And she would do one of two things. Either we go into that feeling, or if I was really like, it was too intense, she would have me feel like, is there any part of your body that feels okay, good, or neutral, that just doesn't feel bad? and it'd be like, well, my legs don't feel anything. It's like, okay, let's like focus on your legs now. But the walnut thing, like the idea of like going into the feeling rather than running from it was like revolutionary. She'd be like, now just with your mind's eye, just like touch one edge of the walnut. And she'd give me time to do that. And then she'd be like, all right, now what is the sensation? I'd be like, well, now it's more like a cotton ball in my mouth. She's like, all right, let's touch the edge of the cotton ball. And then it would disappear. And then she'd be like, all right, now let's talk about that traumatic thing again.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's going to come back. Yeah. But I don't have it like I used to, and I'm able to physically speak and get less upset about speaking my truth, and it's so liberating. And that's more like the somatics, where I think you're dealing more with the past. And it's kind of like what they talk about, like therapy is a little bit more in the past and coaching is more in the present and moving forward, like what you want to grow into rather than what you're trying to kind of relieve yourself from. Like, is there that kind of aspect, or is it kind of like mixing all in between?
I think that like for all of us, right, like there is some, to be able to be in the present, sometimes you're going to have to like own up to, okay, I feel this thing in this place in my body because such and such was like how I was trained as a kid to like hold my body or whatever. Right. Yeah. And so there is a lot of space in coaching to deal with the things that have gotten you to here. But yes, coaching is much more oriented around, okay, and now what do we do about it? Right. How do we coexist with these things? Yeah. Certainly, like, I don't have the training to work with somebody on their past trauma if it is continually coming up as something that is a roadblock in the present. Like, that's when you get a referral out to a trauma specialist who has different training, right? But coaching is about whatever the issues are that are kind of holding you back, whether it is intimacy with your partner, existing in your body, feeling powerful in your job. Okay, let's actually like get into where you can feel different in your body and make different empowered choices. So that's how I'm kind of thinking of coaching and developing a practice around this. And also for myself, my own personal experience that I think brought me here is I've been in therapy consistently for 10 years.
With the same therapist, right?
I did we took like a year break.
Yeah.
But yes, I have had the same therapist for going on 10 years.
It's pretty incredible.
And it has been transformative for me. But earlier this year, I was noticing that I was really tired of talking about things because there's only so much that I can like intellectualize and sort of chit chat, right? Like this is kind of, sometimes it felt a little bit like what we do here, where it was almost just like a catch up, right?
Yeah.
But there were still some things that were making me feel stuck. And I love my therapist so much. She's amazing. And I just said to her, like, I need to take a few months off and do something else. First of all, let all of this integrate, but also just try some different modalities. So I did some coaching myself. Like I was a participant in coaching, and now I'm in this like training for, applying my skills as a coach, not totally realizing, of course, that like I'm doing a lot of coaching within this, like I'm receiving a lot of coaching within this program, right? And it's, for me, I think a modality that feels very kind of tapped into like my Virgo rising and action orientation, rather than just this kind of airy thinking about, talking about. So now I'm going back to therapy. Like we have a session in a couple weeks and I feel really different. Like there are still some lingering things that have shown up in this 4-month period where I'm like, oh no, that is actually a thing I need to talk to my therapist about.
Right.
But I don't feel like that's my only tool that I have. Right? Like there are certain things I'm going to bring to her and other things I'm going to deal with in different ways. Right?
Yeah, it sounds empowering. Like you have you have different resources to draw on for different things where appropriate, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yay. It's just so nice to be back in conversation with you. When I first arrived, was feeling very irritated. And now I feel lovely.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
I appreciate that.
Well, it is very nice to be back on the mic with you, Robin.
Likewise.
I am excited about this period ahead and going a little bit more with like our gut and our instinct and our heart and letting that guide how we're going to do this. So, I think from a listener perspective, you might find like, oh, I really liked that I could always rely on this show to be an hour long. I'm sorry. That's probably not going to be your experience from here on out. Who knows? We might gravitate back towards that, but we're really going to just try to have conversations that go wherever they're going to take us.
Yeah.
And we hope that you're going to come on that journey with us. We know you have lots of different choices in terms of what to put in your ear holes. And we hope that you will continue to join our journey. We are bringing on some guests in the coming weeks.
We have a big event coming up in October.
Yes, we do. We have an event as part of the Circa Fest on October 19th. It'll be at the Eagle. It's in collaboration with Cruise LA. We're really excited about that. And, always, if you can subscribe, leave a review, all of that really helps us.
You could even join the Patreon.
Yes. You can join us over on Patreon, where we will have more details about what that's all about.
Until next time, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Fiercely Independent Media. Fuck Yeah Podcast is hosted, edited, and produced by Robin Jennings and Sarah Tom Chesson, also known as my mom. Theme music is by She, Her, Sir, and Discofied by Robin Jennings. Your support means a lot. You can give to the show and receive perks at patreon.com/fuckyeahpod. You can also rate and review the show or share it with a friend. You can reach us at fyeahpod@gmail.com. Bye for now.